You make more money than your grandfather ever did, and there's a real chance you'll retire with less than he had the day he died. Sit with that for a second, because it doesn't make sense. Wages have gone up. Job titles have gotten fancier. You've got a laptop, a smartphone, 3 streaming subscriptions, and a calendar that's somehow always full, and yet, the moment the paycheck lands, it's already gone. Rent, car note, minimum payment on a card you swore you'd pay off by spring. Gone. Here's the question nobody wants to actually answer. What if that's not an accident? What if the system you're living inside wasn't built to make you wealthy at all? What if it was built quietly, deliberately, over the course of roughly 100 years to keep you just busy enough, just tired enough, and just entertained enough that you never stop to ask why you're still broke at 38 with a 6-figure resume? I want to take you somewhere most finance channels won't go. Not just spreadsheets, not just save more, spend less. I want to show you the psychology underneath the bank account. Because the busyness isn't a side effect of modern life, it's the product. Think about somebody you actually know. Maybe it's you. A person who left college, got a decent job, did everything they were told to do, showed up early, stayed late, took the certification course on weekends, got the promotion at 29, another one at 33, a slightly bigger title and a slightly better parking spot by 36. On paper, that's a success story. And yet, ask that same person how much they actually have sitting in investments outside of whatever their employer automatically deducts for them, and watch the silence that follows. Watch the math happen behind their eyes. 14 years of work, and somehow the number that comes out is smaller than it should be. That gap between effort and equity is the entire story of this video. And almost nobody connects the dots while they're living inside it. Let's go back to 1926 for a second. Henry Ford, yes, the car guy, did something that gets taught in business schools as an act of generosity. He cut the work week down to 5 days, 40 hours. And people still talk about it like he was being kind to his factory workers. He wasn't, not really. Ford said it himself, more or less. A worker with no time off has no time to drive anywhere. No time off means no time to buy gasoline, take road trips, wear out tires, need new parts. The 5-day week wasn't a gift. It was a calculated injection of leisure, just enough free time for his own employees to become better customers for his own product. The man who built the assembly line also helped build the modern weekend, and he built it as a consumption engine, not a kindness. That's the first thing nobody tells you. Free time was never really free. It was engineered to be spent, usually on something somebody else is selling you. Fast forward to 1938. The Fair Labor Standards Act locks in the 40-hour week federally in the United States. And from that point on, something quietly gets baked into the culture. Work 5 days, rest 2, recover just enough to come back Monday and do it again. It's not a coincidence that this matches almost exactly how a hamster wheel is shaped. Round, repetitive, no exit ramp. Now here's where it gets dark, and I mean genuinely dark. Because the 40-hour structure didn't stay the same, work did. The cost of living climbed every single year, but the framework holding your time hostage never adjusted. Today, total U.S. household debt sits above $18 trillion. Credit card balances alone hit a record around $1.28 trillion by the end of 2025, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That's not a typo. Trillion. Most of that debt isn't from people buying yachts. It's from people buying groceries, gas, and the occasional bit of relief after a brutal week at a job that barely covers the basics. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Roughly 6 out of every 2 credit card holders carry a balance from one month to the next, according to New York Fed research, which means most of that interest isn't a one-time accident. It's a quiet, permanent monthly tax on being a little short, paid forever, until something changes. And none of this needed a mastermind. Nobody sat in a single room and orchestrated the whole thing like a Bond villain. It's messier than that, and somehow scarier. It's thousands of separate systems, corporate HR policy, advertising algorithms, credit lending models, even your phone's notification settings, all independently evolving toward the exact same outcome. Keep the person distracted, keep the person spending, keep the person too worn down after a long shift to ask hard questions about where the money actually went. This is rat race psychology, and it runs on something specific: dopamine loops. Every time you check your phone and see a like, a comment, a new follower, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine. It's the same chemical reward system that fires when you eat sugar or win a hand of poker. Tech companies didn't stumble into this by luck. They hired actual behavioral psychologists to design the apps you use every single day, engineering the scroll, the notification badge, the autoplay specifically to maximize how long you stay and how often you return. Your attention is the product. You are not the customer of these platforms. You are the inventory. The average adult now spends somewhere close to 4 hours a day on a phone screen, scattered across dozens of micro-sessions that feel like nothing in the moment and add up to entire years by the time you're 60. 4 hours a day, every day, for 40 years is roughly 6 full years of your waking life. Gone into a feed that was never designed to make you a single dollar richer. It was designed to make somebody else richer off the back of your attention span. And the genius, and I use that word with a sour taste in my mouth, is that this same dopamine loop gets paired with consumerism almost perfectly. You scroll, you see somebody on vacation in Bali, you feel a small ache, something between envy and inadequacy. 20 minutes later, you've bought a $140 pair of sneakers you didn't need just to feel something close to that high again. That's not weakness. That's the system functioning exactly as it was built to function. There's a term for the deeper trap underneath all of this. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. It's the idea that no matter how much your income rises, your sense of satisfaction snaps right back to baseline almost immediately. You get the raise, you feel great for maybe 6 weeks. Then you upgrade the apartment, the car, the watch, and you're right back to feeling like you need more just to feel normal again. Your happiness never actually catches up to your earnings because your spending always rises to meet it. And nobody warns you about this in school. Why would they? An economy built on constant consumption needs people who are perpetually almost satisfied, never quite full. Here's the thing that genuinely bothers me about all this. We talk about financial literacy like it's some niche hobby for people who like spreadsheets, when it honestly should be considered basic survival training. You can graduate with a 4-year degree and still not understand the difference between an asset and a liability. Robert Kiyosaki built an entire framework around this exact gap in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The idea that an asset puts money into your pocket and a liability takes money out, no matter how impressive it looks sitting in your driveway. Your house, in most cases, is a liability. Your car is almost always a liability. The brand new kitchen renovation, the leased SUV, the treat yourself vacation funded by a buy now, pay later app. Liabilities. Every one of them dressed up to look like progress. Meanwhile, the actual asset building tools, index funds, real estate, ownership stakes in businesses get treated like some secret language reserved for people who already have money. And honestly, I think that's intentional, or at minimum, it's allowed to persist because it's profitable for somebody else that you stay confused.
Let's talk about the illusion of the high salary for a second.
because this one trips up smart people constantly. You take a job offer for $95,000 a year and it feels like you've made it. But inflation has been quietly eating the actual purchasing power of that number every single year you hold it. A dollar in 2020 doesn't buy what a dollar buys now. Your salary might be a bigger number on paper, sure, but if your raises don't outpace the rising cost of rent, food, insurance, and everything else, you're not actually getting richer. You're treading water while the tide keeps rising around you, and the scoreboard just keeps showing a bigger number to make sure you don't notice you're sinking. This is the trap inside the trap. The 9-to-5 corporate structure tells you that climbing the ladder is the win condition. Promotion, bigger title, slightly bigger paycheck. But almost nobody pulls you aside to mention that climbing a ladder that someone else built on a building someone else owns only ever makes someone else richer first. You get a cut. They get the asset. Every year, every quarter, every single pay cycle. And the busyness, the actual subject of this whole thing, is the glue that holds it together. Because a person who is constantly busy doesn't have time to ask uncomfortable questions. Busy people don't audit their subscriptions. Busy people don't read the fine print on their 401k fees. Busy people scroll for 20 minutes before bed because it's the only downtime they can squeeze out of an exhausting day. And that 20 minutes is exactly enough time for an algorithm to learn what you're insecure about and sell you the cure for it.
Nobody talks about this part. I genuinely don't know why. We'll spend hours debating whether a stock is overvalued, but almost nobody talks about the fact that modern attention economy platforms and modern lending institutions are, functionally, working towards the same outcome from two completely different directions. One wants your time, one wants your money. Both need you distracted. Both need you a little anxious, and both do significantly better business if you never sit still long enough to build real equity in anything. And it's worth saying plainly, these two systems feed each other. The platform that keeps you scrolling at midnight is often the same one showing you the ad for the buy now, pay later checkout button. The exhaustion from the job pays for the phone that delivers the distraction, that triggers the purchase that creates the debt that forces you back to the job the next morning a little more tired than the day before. Big tech doesn't need to coordinate with a bank for this to work. The incentives just happen to point the same direction, and a person caught in the middle of both has almost no reason, energy, or information to notice it's happening at all.
So, what actually breaks the loop? It's not a hustle. It's not a side gig you do for 4 more hours after an already exhausting job, even though that's what gets sold to you constantly. It starts with something almost embarrassingly simple: noticing the loop exists in the first place. Once you can actually see the dopamine hit for what it is, a chemical, not a need, you stop reacting to it on autopilot. Once you can look at a purchase and ask, is this an asset or a liability? You stop confusing things that lose value with things that build it. Once you understand that your salary number means nothing without checking it against inflation, you stop celebrating raises that are actually pay cuts in disguise. It also means looking at your own calendar the way an outsider would. Not what's on it, what's missing from it. If there isn't a single hour anywhere in your week dedicated to actually managing money, building skills that compound, or putting cash into something that owns a piece of an asset, then the calendar itself has already answered the question of where your life is actually going. Busyness fills every gap precisely so that question never gets asked out loud. None of this is about discipline, by the way, and it's definitely not about willpower. It's about recognizing that the exhaustion you feel at the end of every single day might not be a personal failing. It might be exactly what was intended. Henry Ford gave workers a weekend so they'd have somewhere to spend their wages. 100 years later, the apps in your pocket give you a few stolen minutes between tasks so you'll have somewhere to spend your attention. Different century, same trick, same hand reaching into the same pocket. And maybe that's the quietest, strangest part of all of this. The system was never hiding from you. It was never some shadowy conspiracy behind locked doors. It's been sitting in plain sight the entire time. In your notifications, your paycheck, your calendar, your rewards credit card. It didn't need to hide. It just needed you tired enough and busy enough to never look directly at it.